Today we are here to celebrate International Youth Day. It's your day that has been organized by the United Nations. The second is to celebrate the notion of kindness. And believe it or not, it's an innate nature of humans to be kind. And we have to embrace that. Now, contrary to what many people would say, evidence tells us that we live in the most peaceful of times. Yes, we do have conflicts around the world, but overall, if you look at the historical trend, we must be grateful for the world that we live in today. It's a peaceful world, but we can't be complacent. And why I say that is that we have some global problems emerging that we have to address. Climate change is one. Growing inequality is another, which for me is the most serious problem that we face today. Do you know, especially with you young people here, that 70% of the students in the top schools come from the top richest families in the world? That 70% then captures the job market at the top. That is an inequitable world we live in. You should not accept that. Because we are all capable of achieving whatever we want to achieve. It's not a matter of intelligence. And this is why I say the education system that we have has failed 90% of us. Because it's an education system that does not embrace what I call, or many of my colleagues call, neurodiversity. We all learn differently. And yet we have a school system that imposes a one-size-fits-all. I would say I suffered from it. My children suffered from it. And I think we need to change that. And the only people who are going to change that is you. So, the good news is that there is an agreement at the international level as well as at the national level. Our education systems must change. There is a global trend led by UNESCO, but even by the Secretary General of the United Nations for reimagining education. But here is where you have to be careful. Because if you want to change a system which has been there for nearly 300 years, you need to have a different mindset to start with. You can't let the existing policymakers dictate that change, including me. You have to do it. Because the problems that we have today were created by the mindsets that are trying to find the solutions. Doesn't work. And the reason I think the youth is where the future lies, because we know that you are risk takers. You go through that age group where you are willing to take risk. I remember when I was at about 26, 27, I used to drive at a way that I thought I was invincible. I used to do trips which used to take 6 hours in 3.5, driving at about 140 kilometers, 200 kilometers, thinking I was invincible. I wouldn't do it now. But I'm sort of saying take risks, but not in an illogical way as well. But you are impatient, that is the nature of youth, for change. You want to take risk and you want to see change. So do it. And here's the opportunity to do it, because the Institute started a program called Calling the Kindness Campaign. We were collecting stories from all over the world by the youth. Guess what? We got 1.4 million stories. Sounds good. I don't think you should clap, because you have 1.8 billion youth on the planet. You're for the first time the largest youth cohort in history. 1.8 billion youth producing 1.4 million kindness stories. Can you do better? No. Can you do better? All right. I hope we can see that, because submit your stories, submit your experiences on kindness. Tell the world that kindness is there in us, because we tend to celebrate the adversaries that happen to us. What do you hear in the media? Floods, murders, rapes. What about all the good things that happen that we don't hear? You have to be the voice for that. So let me finish by saying that the Secretary General of the United Nations is calling for a global summit this year in New York, where all 193 countries will hear about the new education that is being proposed. We have a survey questionnaire. I hope every one of you will fill it, so that we can take what you want to the 193 heads of states that will come to New York in 2 months' time. No, let me rephrase. In 1 month's time. So give us your voices that we can take to the decision makers. Now, I'm not going to end with a Gandhi quote. Everybody expects me to do that because I come from the Mahatma Gandhi Institute. But what I liked always, how many of you are Star Trek fans? Some of you have heard of this, many of you may not. It ends with, "May the force be with you." The problem with that is, you also have the dark force. And we don't want the dark force with you. So, why don't we say, kindness is the way, be kind. So let me finish off by hearing from you in your loudest voice, in any language that you want to say, kindness is the way, be kind. Thank you very much.